Game face.
Game face, yeah, that's right. Get your game faces on. Welcome to another episode of the PvP podcast by us, ArenaLabs. I am Sneakers, joined by Crae once again, and this week we are joined by our good friend and fellow guest, Ryrr.
Hello, gamers. How are you doing?
I'm grand, long day at work, get to come back, chat about some PvP. It's a good life, man. It's good.
I've been home all day.
I'm not jealous.
I am.
But yeah, so Ryrr, we've been gaming quite a while. Well, I'd say a good few months now. We've known you. Well, Krill's probably known you a lot longer, but because I've only been gaming not that long in the PvP.
No, we started talking recently with all of this. So
I've only seen Crae a few times as Conquest on his engineering games, but that's all.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, so you've obviously got involved with kind of our in-house leagues. You're always there.
I think it's a great initiative, to be fair.
And because I know the team that you're with, no longer.
Well, no longer. Yeah.
No longer there, RIP, F's in chat.
I mean, we still played together a few times, just no dedication, anymore.
Yeah, it's and that team was
Crae, obviously.
Yeah, Crae. Exactly. Crae Llamas. The best named team EU.
Well, I mean, if I can give you a fun fact, we got called Alpha Synergy, We just joined a guild at Impact Mate. And we were just talking to each other, about just stuff in general. And I just mentioned, this is such great what we are doing. 1 minute later, I was invited to the guild Crae. I was like, well, I guess this is our team name now.
I love that.
It's ridiculous, and I love it.
Thing is, the team did really well. I know when me and Crae were trying to form a team at the beginning, you slapped us so many times, and it was just like, oh my god, against Crae. It was fun, man, because you ran a hyper-mobile team with the Mesmer and the Thief and when Shadow Paw was at its peak.
We started out with that's true. We started out with a triple roamer comp, which was pretty difficult to pull off, to be fair. We never quite got to it. I think, then we changed, we had a lot of different people playing with us, like as fifth guys. So first we had a Mesmer. In the end, that didn't really work out, and so we swapped our comp a bit, tried a side noder instead. So then we had a double roamer comp, like rank 55 dragons, and then like after that we stuck to that comp, which worked out pretty fine. We tried a few different things. I think you mentioned as well, I think on your first podcast, about us being playing with Chrono, when they did the change at first. Yeah. We tried it out as well, but in the end figured out that it's not really worth it, Chrono. You better go off with Mirage then. So yeah, I mean, we've played a lot of different stuff in the end, but
so
I mean,
go ahead, dude. Yeah. So for those who don't really know much about you, we mentioned that you used to be part of Crae. What is your kind of go-to class? What's your main? That's the big question.
A heavy multi-classer, actually.
Nice.
I think my real main would be Elementalist. I've played since the start of the game. When I started playing it, which was about 6 years ago. I tried a few different classes then as well, but then I really stuck to Ele because I really liked it. I mean, and only reason why I liked it, like, let's be honest, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Good choice. That is a great reason, man. That is a great.
I mean, I think it's a great reason. It's the only reason why I stuck to it, and I kept enjoying it. I brought it to PvP, and then I would say it's my real main in the end. But I multi-class a lot. There are only a few classes that I don't play in the end, and that's Ranger, Guardian, and Warrior. I'm not a fan of those in general, but that's just my opinion. All the other classes I play.
Dude, we're pretty fucking similar, except that I like Warrior. But the Ranger and Guard, I'm so ambiguous about. Like,
I mean, I don't want to shit talk the classes, obviously, but I think they're great classes, right? But for me, they are simplistic in a way. There's nothing bad about it, obviously, but like for me, it's just like I'm not a fan of it. I like the more complex things. Not that it's more difficult or anything, but it's just like I like a little bit more complexity in it.
Yeah, the playstyle. It's
Yeah,
completely
exactly. The playstyle, like a little bit more complex playstyle. Like Elementalist has 4 elements. You know, it's a little bit more complex than just than a warrior.
Yeah,
But that's just my
profession
opinion.
choice is very much personal choice.
Yeah, exactly.
But
like if you go for a Revenant, let's say. I mean, you can pull this off on any class, but maybe you feel that guard can be a little bit static, right? Compared to like an ally that switches so many skills in between attunements and stuff.
So, Ryrr, the reason we whole created this entire platform is for top level PvP players like yourself to come on and share your knowledge. Like, you're no chump, dude. You can't say
Yeah.
like you're not a chump. Let's.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a top level PvPer. I'd say I'm just decent at the game.
Yeah, but that's what I would. Yeah, in our small population of the game, in the what was someone publicized the numbers of Guild Wars 2 and the active accounts. It was big, right? And how small a PvP community is, I would say you're a top player. It's not in it's that's if you look at the grand scheme of things, people who may be not interested in PvP or may not know a lot about PvP, may not play it. I class that as a decent level player. I mean, you know what you're doing when it comes to things. You've got a lot of knowledge.
Decent is a very nice level up player.
Yeah.
I'm flattered.
No, you are, dude. I've been playing with you. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. Nothing that you say is kind of.
It could be. Maybe I'm just acting that I'm thinking that I know what I'm talking about.
But no, so we've created this platform, like I was saying, is for folks like yourself to come on and share your knowledge, share your experience. And I know me and Crae are kind of ask people like, what would you like to talk about? And you've kind of written a list.
Dude, yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've been thinking about the topic I wanted to talk about a little because I really wanted to come here because I think it's a great initiative what you guys done. I would say like congratulations on that because I mean it's insane what you guys are doing, putting so much work into it. I've been thinking a lot about the subject that I wanted to talk about, and in the end, I finally decided I want to talk about how to improve as a player in general. You know, even if you're like a top player or like a bronze noob, I would say, like how to improve as a player. That's what I wanted to talk about. So indeed, I've prepared myself. I like preparing, so I know what I'm talking about and I know where I want to go with it. So I'm not just like rambling on for hours.
No, it's good, dude. So you mentioned for anyone from a like maybe a high level player or a decent level player, or even bronze players. So it's a bit.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start with all this? Like, what's the first point on that big long list?
I mean, the big list. I mean, it only has like 6 points in general.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anyone.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
600 points.
Yeah,
so
600 pages.
Like
That
we're gonna be
dissertation.
here for like 20 hours or so. So
Yep.
strap your seatbelts on. We are going for it. So point one, I would like the most important thing for me, like if you're actually looking to improve, you know, it's definitely your mindset. It needs to be there, your mindset. You have to always, if you want to improve, you're looking to improve, and that's what your mindset needs to be on. Like, what do I really mean with this? Is it's very simple, you know. We all know we've been blaming our teammates, you know, oh, he's so bad, you can't do anything, you know. Step one, wrong mindset, because what you're basically doing is when you're blaming your teammates is saying to yourself, I'm not a mistake for losing this game. I was perfect in this game.
Scrub mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the first thing, you know, like if you blame others, you're not blaming yourself and you're not looking at yourself basically like what could I have done better. And I think it's a mindset you need to be in. You don't need to be like aim for like being legendary. That's the ultimate goal, you know, being legendary and being like top player and being able to call yourself that. But I think the first step is really like looking to improve, like what could I have done better in that particular game. I can tell you a story about my own experience with this, to be fair, if you want to give it more context, you know. Like I was in a game, I'm like recently I've been learning Thief, right? Because I was never really good at it. Well, I wasn't never really good at DP, you know. So I've been learning it recently. You might have seen me playing with it. And I was in a game with a warrior, but I swear this warrior was like silver. I don't mean to be mean to him, but like At one point, like when we were on Legacy of the Full Fire, and at one point he just started pushing to the Lord over and over. Like, could have been a bot, I don't know, I didn't care enough, right? So he started pushing over and over to bot. I tried to tell him, maybe it's not the best idea to go to Lord. Like, was not scolding at him, because then people are just like, I'm going to Lord anyway, So what I did was, basically, I knew the game was lost because he wasn't listening when I asked him to not do that anymore. He didn't respond at all, and he just kept going. So I knew the game was lost, right? So instead of flipping and fucking insulting your teammates all the time in team chat, what I did last, like, because I'm learning TIF myself, was like what could I do right now to play this game better, right? What could I have done in the games? So, and then I recall myself, like, I left my teammate at 4 instead of trying to help him, +1 and getting the kill instead. Or like, I could have pushed close instead on certain occasions. It's like thinking about what could you have done better, because in the end, you're playing a solo queue or a duo queue. You don't know your teammates. It's pretty much RNG most of the time. You can't really trust them. So is it really a good idea to look at them and blame them while they're just like doing their own stuff? Some like just look at yourself, be really egoistic, like what could I have done better, and then you get the toxicity of you as well, right? Because you're looking at yourself. No, you're not like looking at that warrior that's always rushing Lord because he wants to get his achievements done.
Yeah. Was it
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's the first thing, like the mindset, look at yourself, what could I have done better to improve? I'm going to take a sip of water because my mouth is dry.
Was it an unranked game or a ranked game? The example.
Unranked. I was still learning TIF, so I was not bringing that to ranked yet.
Okay, so mentality-wise, right? Okay, so whoever plays the game, for whatever reason, you're playing an unranked game. So the Guild Wars 2 basically has 2 modes, right? Unranked and ranked. So in unranked, you can expect to fight just about anybody, even your friend that just started playing in his first game,
Ranked, you can expect the same, I think. Some people can have a bad day or whatever, so yeah.
Of course, but the system still tries to strive for maybe a bit balanced games, right? But yeah, so the mentality definitely with unranked should be that you can come across anything, and your only reason for doing that unranked should be for trying out stuff.
Trying out stuff or having fun with noob friends. I've been recently teaching a new player as well who's new to PvP, and I was like, hey, let's just bring you to unranked and see how it goes. I'm helping a bit, training him. I'm not gonna bring that to rank because it's just a horrible idea. So yeah. But yeah, even in ranked, you should just look at yourself. Like, if something goes wrong, like, yeah, sure, it goes wrong, and it's good that you know what went wrong. Like, for example, the warrior pushing too far, like, pushing to the Lord. Like, it's bad. That's really good. Like, that's the first step. You know that what your team is doing is bad, or like what the warrior's decision was bad in that case. But then, instead of being so toxic towards the team, and being like, oh, he ruined the game. Well, instead of trying to learn, trying to see it as a failure, try to look at it like, what can I learn from this? You don't have to look at the warrior. You know that he ruined the game, like, period. That's it. But like, what could you have done better in that game? What could I have done better? Like when you are 1v1ing something, wow, I was doing shit against that. Like,
yeah, I think I think it's really interesting that, to be honest, where it's unless you play the game perfectly, then then you can flame someone in my eyes. Like, but
exactly.
Or even then you shouldn't really flame, but
then there would be a point in flaming others. Otherwise, there's no point, because in the end, what I think I want to accomplish with the mindset I try to be in, like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm salty as well sometimes. Like, I'm not perfect.
Everyone
but
is.
Like, what I try to do is, like, I try to not be salty because I'm just looking at myself like, what could I have done better? Of course, it's different when you're in a team, when you're a team player, and you need to look at each other all the fucking time, right? That's the difference. But I'm talking about solo and duo queue, or even in ranked to 3 people or something like that. There's a difference with that. I think also something like in the mindset that I want to talk about, like before anything else, is to not give up. I see so many players, like, I join a ranked match and there's Synderner on the enemy team. He's a big gamer, we all know him, and people just in my team chat are like, oh, Synderner is on the enemy team, this game is done. And like, no, this game is not gone. He's not a god, we can win against him. And that's as well with the mindset, if you give up, if the game hasn't even started yet, how can you win? How can you expect to win? And I think a good metaphor for this is, right, when I was little, I sometimes I wanted candy, or maybe you as well remember this. And I remember just like my mom saying, okay, go ask your dad if you may. And like, I didn't really want to, it's like, I mean, it's your dad, right? When you're a small kid, and then she said to me like a no you have, a yes you can get. It's the same with the game. You have a loss, you can try to get a win. And it's with every opponent you're facing. Try to get a win. See that as a challenge. When I saw Syndrome for the first time on the enemy team, I was like, oh damn, yes, I'm gonna prove to myself that I can beat him.
Yeah,
I was
me
like,
too.
that's a perfect mindset you need to be in. Like, don't see this, oh man, this game is lost. No. Try and beat him. Try and be like, oh my god, this is my shot to prove to myself I can fucking do it. He's not a god. I can prove that he's not a god. I can beat him.
I finally get to see how it's like to play against that.
Yeah, I think this is like for me when I used to compete in karate at quite a high level, kind of a joking mentality but semi-serious. We used to have in like for our team competitions, like team fights and stuff. It would be like, oh, who are we facing? And it'd be like at the time there'd be a massive team it would be like chumps, mate, chumps. We're better than them, and it's a bit egotistic, I know, but it was kind of that mentality. Be like, nah, they're not better than us. They're not better. We're on the same, like, nah. And having that, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, but Syndrome is definitely better.
Oh
than,
yeah,
at that
yeah,
point, like,
yeah. We are. Syndrome is.
But I want to say like he's not a god. He can be beaten. He's not a machine that's like playing the game. Even then, I wouldn't even know if an AI would be able to play Guild Wars 2 perfectly because it's really complex. I don't know about that, but yeah.
It's so situational, right?
It is pretty situational, but like I don't want to stray too much off
Like,
topic.
there's always multiple options you can do. There's always, of course, the most optimal you can do.
Yeah, and that's some like it would perfectly translate in what I want to talk about next because there's so many options. I think the perfect thing is like when you go into a ranked game or like when you look to improve is it's really important that you know what class you're playing, what role you're playing, and on top of that you need to know what the enemy is playing and your allies are playing, right? I mean, this is not PvE, right? You don't need to pay attention to the mobs. Like when you're playing PvE, you don't pay attention to mobs. You just like spam your DPS, poo, 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 and it's on, But in PvP, it's actually, you're playing against enemies. You need to know what they are doing, and you need to know what your allies are doing as well. And what their role is. Like if you play with a support and you're a necro, and you're like always running away from the support, it's like, what are you really doing in the end? You have a support there to help you, and then you run away from him. I think it's really important as well that you know your role, you know your enemy's role, and you know your allies' role. So you know how to play with them and how to play against your enemies, right? As a thief, for example, you don't want to seek a 1v1, right? Maybe sometimes against another thief or something you can beat. But I mean, when I'm playing thief, like when I'm learning it, I was like always ignoring the 1v1s. I'm like, I'm +1er, I don't fucking care about the 1v1. They can cap the note. All I care about is just getting +1 and getting the kill for my allies, right?
Yeah.
That's the role that I am in. Or like when you're playing in Nate Hall, you seek to either be in a team fight, try to win that, or push a duel or push a node with you. But because you can do it, you can duel perfectly. You don't have to. But I think you can kind of +1 in the end. But is it really? You need to know your role.
You could be doing something. As Illy put it in his episode, you need to. Where am I most effective? And
exactly.
That's simply it.
It's perfect how you put it. Where am I most effective? That's good for making your rotations. Like where am I most effective? And while we're on the topic of rotations, like the most important thing as well is when you make a rotation, even if you know it's bad, when you get there or when you're going to there, still commit to the rotation. You have to commit to the rotation and then decide in the end, was it really worth it or was it just completely jack shit, right? If you go like, if you're like, for example, I'm a thief, right, and I have my 2 siders on far and close, and I know the enemy is going to push somewhere, but I don't know where. Like that's just context, situation. I don't know where they're gonna push it. Maybe there's a clue somewhere, I don't know, and I go to far, for example, to hide my teammate because maybe they're on respawn. and I come there, and it's only my signer register, my holo is sitting there on a node, and nobody's coming to him, or maybe just one holo, for example, that he can duel perfectly, and everyone else of the team, of the enemy team, went too close. So that's a bad rotation, right? But if I would have not committed too far and would have just like, oh, I went too far, oh no, they're going too close, and I follow them back too close, and then, oh shit, they're now going too far, then you're just like, I don't know if there's a word for it, but just like staying on one place, like I don't know where to go, you know, and just you never committed to rotation, and you never did something in the end.
It's just ineffective. You haven't done your job either
exactly.
way.
It's ineffective, and I think Ili put that well in his in the episode.
I know that's something me and Crae have kind of discovered. It's like if I'll get maybe a down, kill somebody, and then let Crae finish, and Crae will be like, I can you come back? And it'll be like I'm already halfway decapping the node, and I'll make sure I get that, whether it was the right choice, and at least I've done something then, because it's like if I go back, both of us die, they've still got the node. If that, it's like even if. Yeah.
You evaluate your decision after you've committed to the decision, and then you can say like it was a bad decision or not. Otherwise, you can't say if it's a bad decision or not because you've never made the decision in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to see it through, right? So you can actually evaluate it, of course.
So that's a good thing. Like if you want to improve, like commit to your rotations, even if they're bad, even if your team is like, oh you fucking idiots, just ignore them. Don't be toxic back to them. They're just only gonna work like in a different way, you know, in the opposite direction is what I want to say. It's only like
brush that shit off.
Yeah, when they shit at you and you shit back, the only thing that's gonna happen is you shitting more, and then the game is just lost because all you're doing is typing in all caps in team chat. Right, it's true, right? We've all been in those games.
Thief decap far as I'm. That's just what it is for me.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? As they've got like a bunker guard sat on it. I'm like, what the fuck?
Someone mentioned it as well on the podcast, I think, or somewhere else. I heard it that it's better to draw on the minimap than actually type in team chat because
of course.
It's not really because someone is telling you something, but it's more like I'm not looking at chat when I'm fighting.
No,
you know, like who cares about chat? It goes too much concentration to reading a message, at least for me. And I'm often paying attention to the minimap, and then you just see if something is drawn on there. It's like, oh my god, yeah, you know, you just get the hints.
It's not even. It's just a ping, isn't it? And if the ping kind of goes ting, and you're like, oh,
you can draw anything. You can draw two rotations, like instead of typing 10 words. You know what I mean?
I mean, you don't have to draw like a beautiful pattern and everything. Like it's just one line and an arrow, and it's just fine, you know. Or you have those ping spammers, you know.
Oh, that's what annoys me. Like, come on, just do the 1 or 2 pings, man. Come on.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I sometimes do it.
Yeah.
Well, my mentality behind it is like I want them to see it, you know. And if I'm all the time, then eventually they see it, right? Even if they don't care about it or not, like they saw it.
I'm usually screaming at my monitor at that point. It's like Crae has got a fun habit of he draws big circles around them. He's like, "What are these guys doing?" Got like that one dude, as you said, pushing Lord, and Crae will spend the entire time circling it.
And that's flaming again, like. Beautiful.
Called you out there, Crae. I'm sorry.
No, go I do it. I draw everything, and I draw numbers. How many are where, and I draw shit.
Yeah, numbers is a big help because it's like
never flame. I made my Revenant type less, play more for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm never drawn numbers, to be fair. My mouse is too sensitive for that. It's on a really high DPI scaling because I want to get to places quickly. But yeah, I can't really draw numbers, and I've never really done it in the first place. So yeah. Anyway, to stick on the topic of roles, right? There are some good videos like online who explain the roles. I think Vollen made one. I know that Georgios made one as well, and they're pretty good. They explain the roles and what you're supposed to do. They're quite long though, but I mean, in the end, if you don't know what the role does, and you're not certain, it's best to look it just up so you know for certain what you're supposed to do. Or you can just ask someone. I think, maybe MapChat is not the best idea because there are a lot of like funny people in there, you know, like, what do you mean with the role? Are we not League of Legends? You know, the funny people. think they are funny, but they're really not when you're just seeking for help, you know.
But,
So
yeah, people going on about, oh, there's no such role, we're not League of Legends, but there really is roles. It really is. They
yeah,
exist.
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, the rules. It's really important that you know what you're doing and what your enemy is doing and what your allies are doing and how to play with them. It's like the best thing. Like also as well, like when you have your role and maybe you're just learning it or you just your role in general, you need to know what your strength is as the role and your weak points as well. Like if you, for example, I know when I was learning thief, I'm still learning it, by the way. I know I'm not confident at 1v1ing with a thief. I find it a little bit useless, but in the end, you know, maybe I should learn it. But it's just like I'm still not confident, and it's like when I have to duel a thief, I'm like, oh, I really don't like this, you know. I want to get
Yeah.
out of there, and so I know my weak points, you know. For me that's like, for me as a thief, dueling a thief for me is like, oh, I don't like it. I know it's my weak spot, so I mean, just go practicing then. Ask for someone to help, or just go in games and practice it really. That's how you do it, you know. If you know your weak point and you need to work on it, just go and practice it. What did I say? Just like try to analyze yourself all the time if you want to improve. know what you're good at. If you know, oh, I'm so good at plus oneing people and catching people by surprise, go for it. Abuse it because you're good at it, you know. And if you know that you're bad at 1v1ing and you're in a ranked game and it's a really tight ranked game, you know, it's a really close one, don't go and try to practice a 1v1 duel or something like that. Actually, you know, if you know I'm bad at 1v1ing as a thief, then just forget it and do something else. You know, because you're not gonna win the game anyway if you're just trying something out.
You can practice in the in-house leagues duel arena. Shout out to us.
Shameless sponsoring.
yeah. Shameless self-sponsor in my own podcast. Yeah.
But I mean, it's a great. I mean, to be fair, it's a great place because you're gathering so many people. It's great if you like come here and be like, "Hey, I need help." I'm sure there are some people who are willing to help.
As well, shout out to the Welcome to PvP Discord. There's a lot of knowledgeable
Yeah, definitely.
coaches there.
There's
Some really good people there. Trichon made a good job at that, making that server. It's a really good place. And I don't really take much part of it, but I know like sometimes I read through it and it's really like people are helpful and everything like that. You know, it's a really good place. So
But yeah, let's get back on track. We got pretty sidetracked there. Yeah. So what else? We talked about roles and how they're important. Anything else on this, or anything else?
I mean, definitely there's a lot more. Like I said, for example, your strength and your weak points. Right? I'm gonna want to talk a little bit more about that. If you know, like there's a build that counters you, for example. I mean, as a holo, for example, that would be a retail guardian, right? Because it's really painful to deal with because of the endless blocks and then the retaliation, which everything you do is power anyway, so you get fucked by it, right? I don't know nowadays since they nerfed retail, but I think it's still pretty one-sided. You know, it really kind of fucks you up in the end because of retaliation. You know that's a weakness of you, and if you see like, oh fuck, on the enemy team there are like 3 retail guardians for some godforsaken reason, I don't know why. If they're then don't play fucking nade holo, you know. Take another build to counter the retail guardians. Like maybe Condi holo is a thing if you only play holo. Swap classes, you know, try to counter the enemy builds. If you know that you're gonna be outclassed in a game, try to swap your build up, try to do something else. Maybe avoid the guardians, for example, if you have no other option at all. You know, try to always counter your enemy.
On holo, when there's like 2 guards on enemy team, I always swap elixir U for elixir B just because of the retail and stat and shit, like the boons.
Exactly. That's a good thing. Though you give your only stun breakup then though, which is kind of painful.
No, it's holo.
Elixir is a stun break, but
yeah. You got the one stun break.
It's really dangerous though to give up your stim break, but yeah, it's definitely possible. If there's not too much to see, or you should be fine in the end. But yeah, always try to like, if you know the strengths and weakness of your own role as well, not yourself but also your own role, so you can counter enemies. Like the best example would be like when Path of Fire came out, right? And Mirage was just broken, you know. I think you guys know about that, right? And most people remember this. Mirage was broken as fuck, right? I mean, I remember it.
At the very
And-
beginning, there was Mirage, then it was
Yeah,
both
very
of them.
beginning of Battlefield, or maybe like a little bit later after that. But
But
I just
later.
remember that Mirage was so strong, and I started playing Holo at that point, you know, and it was like, yeah, I have to deal with these Mirages, right? So it was like, okay, let's just make a build to counter it, because I mean, there's no build that I know of. Like, I was still learning PvP back then. I wasn't as good as I am now. And I didn't really know, so I was just looking through the traits, and I was like, what can I do to counter the Mirage? Like, I knew it put out a lot of conditions, so I looked through the traits, and then there was the inventions trait line. Every time you get protection, you get cleanser condition, right? So I started playing with sword shield as well from the start, because of the shield trait that you have, which is really nice. So I just made a build then around that, just prot follow, just to counter Mirage, you know. So I just, in a sense, essentially, what I want to get to is I knew my weakness as my role as a holo in general. So I was like, okay, let's turn it around, and let me become the counter to the Mirage instead, because I have so much condition spam, and I just turn everything with the protection into boons. So they're they're just giving me boons in the end, you know. So that's how I countered the Mirages, and then just sit on them whole game, and they're gonna cry like, why are you sitting on me? I mean, I don't know, you're bullying my team, I'm bullying you instead, you know, trying to win the game, just like you. So yeah, that's what I wanna get at. If you know your weakness and your strengths as your role, you know your counters, and you can counter your counters back. It's perfect, you know. Swap your build around if you have to. So also what I wanna get to, most people play meta, right? And if you know what most people play, you can just play builds that counter it, even if the builds are not meta in the end. But you just, because you know everybody plays a certain build, you can just make a build that counters it, and you win most of your games. That's how I won with Prot Holo a lot, because most people play Mirages or Conny bullshit. I'm just like putting every condition that's put on me into a boon. So it just fucks them completely, and I'm like, I mean, for me it's like perfect. Like, I'm getting all those juicy boots, just ripping, yeah, and just raping them in the end. So yeah, I mean, if you know what your weakness is, try to counter it with a build. You know, especially like meta builds. Everybody plays, well, I want to say most people play meta, right? So if you don't play meta and you have a build that actually counters the meta, you're fucking good,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, keep that to yourself.
You're
Don't
in a
share
safe
it.
spot.
Don't share
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
I think a lot of players are just like are at the point where they're not yet comfortable with every class in the game or multi-classing, but they're stuck with one class. So when the meta changes, this happened to me a lot, right? When the meta changes, you're not used to the new 1v1s you're having or the new team fights, you know, the comp wise. If you're not used to the classes and what they do, the skills they do. So it all comes down to knowledge at that point. Like
Exactly.
knowing your weaknesses, knowledge is power in that sense, right? You
Yeah,
have to know
exactly.
your weakness not just as you, like how you're mechanically or whatever, but also in that sense.
Yeah, that's true, because like when I was facing the Mirages as Prot Holo, I would say they had an equal chance of beating me, you know, because it wasn't overpowered my build, because it was not meta. But they just didn't know how to play against me. I knew how to play against them, but like they've never seen the build that I was playing, so I was like, yeah, big fuck you on their face, because they don't know how to play against me. I'm just like beating them because I know how they play. That's a good point.
Mhm.
Like, counter your counter. And you also need to know what, and then again, like if you make a build that counters a certain build, you need to know the counters of that build, otherwise you get fucked as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to be really aware of certain things. Like the best example would be of the recent MAT, right? When French Worms brought out their double Renegade, you know, the one-shot Renegades. It was beautiful to watch, to be fair. But like nobody plays it, right? Nobody plays it. They haven't really brought it out like until the MAT and started really practicing it.
Yeah.
And people were surprised by it, because that's the same thing. Like they made a comp that counters a certain comp, which is rank 55 Dragons comp, and then they knew it was a counter to it, but rank 55 or like Numor, for example, they didn't know how to play against it. because like it's something they've never seen before. Like the Prot Holo Mirage, like they've never seen it before. They don't know what the fuck it does, how to counter it, and they just got like ruffle stomped, you know, because they're just caught by surprise.
We talked this about this with Blam last week, where like people going about how bad Weaver is and like it sucks, but because you don't see it every day in ranked, people like, if you know what you're doing on it, it can actually do work. Just because people don't know how to counter.
I wouldn't say it's that bad. Like for example, Lightning Rod is really good at beating Holos, right? Because of all the weakness spam and the CC spam in general. Because Holo has only that one stun break, you know. Weaver can, like the Lightning Rod, can fuck up a lot of power classes. Most people play power right now, so it would be a really good counter to certain classes. But yeah, barely people play it in general. So yeah, that's true. Like, if it's really good to surprise people with a build if you can. Like the French worms and I would say like French worm or big brain is to make really nice comps.
They are the best at it, if I'm honest.
And they just bring it out at last moment, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I've been chatting with Zartak about it, and he's just like, yeah, we ain't telling you shit. And I was like, damn it!
Of course they wanted to keep it secret.
That's an interesting point. Like, you imagine teams having like 3 matches or 4 matches and having a chance to adapt, you know, like especially a really good team that knows what would counter those Renegades could maybe turn it around, right?
It's really hard to, because in the case of the Renegades, like, who knows the build, who has seen it, they've only, like, if they've seen it only in the first game, they're like, what is this, you know? And
you've got
really
a minute and a half to kind of strategize. It's not a lot.
Yeah,
not a lot of time.
It's not a lot. Even if you have multiple games, like, you would have to need it. You need to know what you're really doing then, and need to know the class. And in the end, it's like, who plays Weaver, who plays Renegade? Only French worms doing it right now, right? So yeah, if you don't know the class and you don't know its counter, so like if ranked 55 would be playing against them in Mota, for example, or in multiple rounds, it would be like, well, shit, you know. It would take them some time to be able to adapt, you know, because you don't know the counter on the top of your head of certain builds. You know, what if I would bring out like Con the Engineer, for example, right now, Cork Con the Engineer, who the fuck knows how to counter it?
Probably Crayola.
Nobody knows.
Crayola probably does. Pistol NG Crayola. How many games? 3,000 games on that bad boy?
Okay, fair point.
just only Crayola. That's it.
That's
it.
I mean, yeah, but like, it's a good point. Like, if you want to improve, like, if you can surprise your enemies, it's a really good thing. You know.
That's what I appreciate the most. Like when I watched players stream, and they come up with that. I can mention many. Like, that's the most beautiful thing you can see in a game, because they just catch people off guard with, like, Chase. He plays a lot of that pistol burn engine. It's so nice watching that.
Exactly. I remember, like, before grenade hole and everything was a thing, you know, and scrapper in general, I was just memeing around with a grenade one-shot scrapper build. I just stacked might and stealth, that's all I did, and just grenade barrage one-shotting players. It was so much fun. It caught people off guard, they didn't know what we were doing. In the end, I could even 1v1 with it, because scrapper is pretty resilient, and people just didn't know when the one-shot would come or when it would be there, you know, so you're like, ooh. Ooh,
you know what I miss? Like the power mesmer Tief Moa.
Oh
yeah,
that was the shit. Like.
But yeah, I mean, like, again, like, we're maybe getting a little bit off topic, but if you want to improve, if you can surprise players with a strong build and a solid build. I'm not talking about a build that you made overnight, like when you're only living on Red Bull, or a raid build, or for example, I don't think those will perform well, but with a solid build that can counter the meta, use it. It will surprise people and guarantee to win you games, general. And like, don't be scared to tier craft at all. You know, it's really fun to do. Actually, I find it fun to tier craft and try it out in Unranked and see how well it goes. You know.
Yeah.
That's a good point to improve on.
But you need, like, if you go game wise, you're gonna need a couple of games to actually get a hold of a new playstyle.
Definitely. Like, I mean, like I said, my portfolio didn't come in one game, you know. I was testing it over and over, different runes, different amulets, like what's the best thing you can use, you know.
And then
Which
there's
straight
always a
lines
play
should I
style,
use?
right?
Yeah, exactly. That's true though. Like I see many people, like when I gave some of my builds to other players, like just I'm talking about my meme builds, right? Like this one-shot scrapper build with grenades. When I gave it to someone, he just changed some things about it, and because he liked it way more that way, it's definitely a playstyle that fits you better and you're more used to. So people always change builds, and it's better to make a playstyle to make a build that fits your playstyle because you'll be able to play that much better. You know.
Yeah. Of course.
So yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're only at point 3 at this point of my checklist.
We
So,
got time. Don't worry.
Oh, how many pages did we say? 600?
Yeah, it was definitely a big dissertation, wasn't it?
Yeah. Another 4 hours to go.
And that's just the intro.
And that's just the intro. I like that.
Hey, so what else? What else you got for us?
What else? What else I got?
Tell us
man,
more.
you're curious, aren't you?
Always, man. Always. I'm always down to learn to improve.
A really good thing to do if you want to improve as well is record your own gameplay.
Yeah.
It's the best thing you can do, and review it. You know, of course, like some people have lag time, right? So what do we do if you play a game, for example, and you know, oh, this was a game that I've could done so much better in. You know, just rewatch that game of the like 2 hours of gameplay that you got. Just watch that game if you don't have a lot of time. See what you could have done better. It's how, in that way, like recording my gameplay, it's how I learned how to kite properly. I just recorded my gameplay and I was like, why am I running in a straight line right here? Why the fuck am I doing it? And then when you rewatch it, you're aware of it. You go to game again, and then you're aware of what you need to focus on, and then you catch yourself. I'm running in a straight line again. What am I doing? So then you go zigzag all the way, you know, like a bunny hop. You and that's how you learn how to kite, right? But that's how I learned how to kite, and that's how I improved, right? Because I learned how to kite properly because of just me recording, reviewing my own footage, and being like, "What the fuck was I doing there?" And don't be scared to judge yourself either. You know, you have to judge yourself to improve. You have to be able to do that. You know, be like, I'm a fucking idiot there. You have to be able to say that I'm stupid.
Yeah, definitely right. Yeah, like one thing we tried doing in the past is record like multiple people recording the gameplay, or even streaming in our Discord. Like we stream to Illy quite often, and he'll tell us like what we're doing wrong, or little things like that. Just getting a second pair of eyes to someone can always help.
That's definitely true. Like if you have a friend you can play with, or who can even review the footage and stuff like that, that's great to have, you know, because he will spot things that you didn't spot, right? It's like when you write a text, for example, for a school project or maybe for work, or for example, you have to write something down, and even if you review it yourself, even a few days later, there will still be things that you miss, right? And when you give it to someone else, it'll be like, oh, that's a mistake right there. It's the same with these recordings, you know, or when you have someone else watching it, he can help you. I mean, especially Ely, right? In your case, he has more knowledge of the game than you, if I can say that. I'm no insults intended.
Definitely.
No, you're right.
He's the walking encyclopedia.
Yeah, that's why we've employed him.
It's how much do you pay him?
We're paying him.
Oh, you're not paying, dude. I'm gonna give Billy an idea. Is he listening to this?
We're not authorized to disclose that information.
Yeah. That's classified.
Yeah, so that's exactly. Exactly. If you have someone like a coach, for example, someone who knows the game better than you, like I'm teaching my friend in PvP as well. I know the game better than him, so I can help him what he's doing wrong, and it will boost your improvement like 10 times, I would say, like, because you just have someone who can explain to you, like, you're doing that, you know, bad, you know, you have to do this to be able to win. Ryjan helped me a lot with that. You know, I don't know if you guys know Ryjan, probably. Maybe
Yeah.
It's from
He plays Red.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's recently returned to the game a bit. For how long, I don't know. But he was in Vermilion. And I met him in Ranked or whatever. And he was just like, I don't know how we met in the end, but I don't know how it all went anymore. But we just like kind of stuck together, and he helped me to improve. You know, I have to kite more. He said, and I was like, okay, fuck, I'm gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna pay attention to that. You have to do this better. You know, bait out your cooldowns sometimes. You know, and stuff like that. That's how you improve because you have someone who knows the game better than you or can play it better than you, and they have it explained to you, and you're like, oh damn, I never thought of that. I mean, it would take so long for you to improve on your own, even if you are reviewing your own footage. If you don't have someone like who is better than you, it's the same. Like that's the reason why you have teachers in school, right? You don't like, for example, you don't look at a math equation and try to solve it on your own. You have a teacher who explains it to you. You know, it's the same thing. If you have someone who can explain it to you, or even looking at streamers, for example, you know. But I'm okay. Let me first make something clear. There's a difference between streamers and a good streamer. You know, like a really good player. What I would classify as a streamer is someone who seeks to entertain. You know, just to be clear about that, like Teapot. I don't want to blame them. Of course, they're fun people to watch, but like, if you want to improve, you know, you seek the players who are really good and explaining their gameplay, right? So.
Yes.
Who are streamers like Teapot, I would say Angels, for example, as well. They're good players, right? But they seek to entertain in the end. Blametrex is the same, I think. Again, to be clear, no insult. It's just like they seek to entertain. That's their goal, right? It's not their goal to be like, hey, I want to teach you, you know. For example, like when I watch Syndrome stream or Hellset, they speak out loud like what they are thinking, like why am I going close? Why am I going for? What am I doing here? Why am I going there? Was that wrong? Was that a good decision? Was it bad? What should my team have done in that case? They all say it out loud all the time. It's really good to watch that because you can follow their logic. You know what they are thinking, and they're good players. You know they don't get world champion for fucking no reason, right? They're really good. They know what they are doing, and if you watch them, you follow their logic. You can kind of get it into yourself as well. You know, you're like, oh, I have to do this because not because Syndrome was doing, but this logic made sense, right? You know, and if
Yeah.
you have good players you can watch and who are like explaining what they are doing to you, like, well, I mean to you, or like if it's a friend explaining to you, or the streamers like explaining it to their chat, like what they are doing, why they are doing this, then you're also learning. In the end, you're learning how to improve. You follow their logic. It's like a teacher basically. They explain to you their logic. You can follow the same logic then, or try to apply it to your own games and to your own situations, and try to go from there. If you would have to learn it all on your own, that's basically like it would take you 2 times, maybe 3 times as much as someone watching streams, or someone who has a coach or someone who has a friend that can help them improve. It's really good to watch people like this.
Couldn't agree more. Everything you said there.
I want to say like good players as well, like watching the in-houses, for example, like shameless advertising again.
No, keep it up.
Yeah, there are ArenaLabs in-houses on YouTube, like WW. Yeah, but it's true. Like there are good games there, like, and what you can watch, and if you have someone like shoutcasting it, like Ilya is doing a good job at that, like explaining what's going on, like you can follow that logic. You know, it's perfect. You know, like, and then you improve.
Yeah.
Am I saying to not watch streamers? You know, like Teapot, Angels, Bermatax, and people like that? No, of course not. They're fun to watch, definitely. Well, some of them it's like more their preference in the end still, but like they're fun to watch, right? But they seek to entertain. They don't seek to they don't seek to explain the game. So if you want to improve again, it's best to go to the good players, Halset, their ArenaLabs, shameless advertising again, Syndrome, people like that, you know, because they explain what they are doing. I think DDoff does it as well on his streams. I don't watch his streams that much, but I think he definitely does it.
There's many now. There's even a Fefe
Yeah.
does commentary.
Yeah, there are many. Like I probably mentioned, I didn't even mention half of them, but like
There's many. Fantaram, I know the NA scene is active as well. Chase, Fantaram is streaming lately as well. Draze, he always answers questions.
Yeah, that's
He's
true.
the best duelist to watch.
It's true,
there's so
Dress
many.
as well.
There's so
They're
many
really-
different.
Yeah, they're really good. Like I probably didn't mention them all, but you know they're good players. If you can like analyze for yourself, like what's a streamer and versus a good player, and again, if you seek to improve, go watch those good players. Don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say don't waste your time on the stream, but like, if you want to improve, that's your goal, right? You go to the good players. You don't watch like a hype man. You don't do that. Like, if you want to improve.
I'm gonna do another shout out for the PvP, Welcome to PvP Discord, because they've got the coaches on there, and well, Illy is one of the coaches, right? So he's helped me with Thief. He's reviewed my gameplay. He's helped Dawn with Rev. He's reviewed that gameplay. Like the coaches on there is, so if you're needing someone to maybe review your gameplay, join that server. Ask one of the coaches. The chances are they're pretty reasonable people. They might do it.
I mean, people may also contact me if they want. I'm definitely up for helping people. I don't mind it at all.
You actually came to us completely self-initiative.
Yeah,
Like
I said, I thought it was a great initiative, and I wanted to help people as well, you know. So I was like, I want to be part of this, or at least help them a bit to grow, you know, or whatever, because I think it's a great idea. Like what you guys did is absolutely it's beautiful.
Something I'm going to shout out just again is our in-house leagues. We've got a lot of good players there, Like, and if you kind of go, ooh, can somebody watch my gameplay? Chances are you're gonna have some like Plat 2, Plat 3 players watching over your gameplay, and you'll get so much input about it. We had one guy who joined our thing. He didn't even know the Welcome to PvP Discord existed. I gave him tips and just like the little things. Just join the in-house leagues.
Voice chat is mandatory though.
I mean, even if you're Plat 1 or Plat 2 yourself, there's still be things that you avoid, right? That you didn't see, right? Like I said before, it's like if you write a text, you go over it, you still miss things.
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Exactly. And if you have, the more people you have like helping you, the more you improve, right? And it's way more fun to play with friends in the end. You know, it will boost your motivation to you want to improve in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really interesting how if you put some pieces together, you know, a lot of people will come and put more pieces on.
People are so helpful. Like there are these idiots in map chat, you know, who try to be funny, like acting like they're stupid.
Chat is so impersonal, man. Like even voicing is to an extent impersonal, right?
But there are a lot of people who ask for help in map chat, right? And I mean, there are these idiots, what I want to say, you know, in map chat who try to be funny, but in the end they always get help, you know. There's always that one guy who helps them out. So like in the end, don't be afraid to ask for help, because they're all, I think Guild Wars 2 is a good community for asking for help. It's way better. Like people are nice in general, you know. People are helpful in general. I think it's like a mentality that people have.
But yeah, so let's move it on onto that next point of 100.
Of 100.
How else can we improve? Tell me more, Ryan. Tell me how bad I suck. Yeah.
Of 100, well, I think we just passed 100. I wouldn't say like. I think for me it's round. You know, I think that's like the things I want to mention, like how to improve. Know your mindset. Have the right mindset. Know your role. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Review your own footage. Be critical of yourself. Don't blame your teammates. That's useless. They don't listen to you anyway. So why would you talk to them? But no, wait. Why would you criticize them if they don't ask for help? Because they're not gonna listen, you know. So what is a good streamer is have some play with friends. That's the best advice I can have, because it will keep you motivated and it will help you push yourself to your limits, I would say, to get to that legendary rank or get into a team and get that sweet gizmo, you know.
Yeah, dude, it's a good thing. Everyone can improve, which I like.
Always, like you said, nobody is perfect. Nobody ever will be perfect. So there's always room for improvement. That's why I said from the beginning, like this is from bronze players to legendary players. I think maybe like I said, I'm not the best player, so there are probably some tips that legendary players or like similar or stuff like that know how to improve that I don't know or that I didn't mention. You know, in the end, it's for everyone. These tips that I gave, like what I wanted to talk about.
I think you're perfectly valid, and I think it does matter everywhere from bronze to legendary. Even the things you were mentioning, it's what top teams are doing. It's like the thing of going running something that you're confident with and countering a meta build is something top teams like Worms are doing every single month.
Exactly.
So...
They're the best at it. Like, if you need help, just go to them.
I don't know if you'll get a response. They'll probably be like, "No, that's our build. We're keeping it secret, locked up." But yeah, there's enough people in the community to offer help among it.
Like, my best tip would be like, ask for help. If you don't know anymore, of if you need help or you think you need help, just ask for it. There are always people willing to help. Always. Maybe not right now or where you are right now. Maybe not then. But like, keep asking. People will eventually reach out their hands to help you. You know, definitely.
So you mentioned you're offering help. Let's shamelessly plug you for some PMs. So it's Crae Ryrr. I don't know what your in-game name is.
Dude, I'd have to look it up.
I think. Hold on, wait. I might have you if you're online. There you go. Okay. Oh, this. I'm gonna butcher this.
It's a Dutch, dude. I'm just gonna spell it out if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
MRDITENDAT.1985.
Okay.
Mistake it in dot 1985.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a Dutch name.
So that's how to reach out to Crae Ryrr if you need some tips and tricks on improving.
Well, help in general. I'd love to help people.
But no, I'm happy you're doing stuff for the community, man. It's nice to have players reach out to us and go, I want to come on and talk about things.
Yeah.
I just want to help in general. It's not really. I just love helping people.
It's nice to be nice.
Oh, I mean, I can be salty as well. You know, you haven't seen me salty yet.
let's get you in there.
There is a reason why in one of my guilds there is a reason why one of my characters has an emote that's sipping from a cup of salt. There's a reason for it.
I approve. I think everybody's guilty of saltiness, though. It's allowed. It's allowed in a PvP match. But,
it's definitely toxicity. I'm not allowing that. I think that's just hypocritical.
Yeah, you can get salty, but don't be a dick.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, once again, thank you for coming on the show. I don't know if there's any more you want to talk about.
It was an honor to be here. To be fair, I really liked it.
But so yeah, like we've said, reach out to Ryrr if you want any tips and tricks. We're going to shamelessly plug our in-house leagues again. Obviously, message myself, Sneakers, or Crayola. We're on. Yeah. We're recently setting up a Twitch channel and stuff, so we can kind of broadcast our games as well for people to get involved. Shout out to the Welcome to PvP Discord for people to join there. I think that's all the shout outs, right, Crae? Have I missed anything?
Thanks for having me again.
No, thanks for coming on, dude. It's really nice having you.
Yeah, you've covered so much. But yeah, those who have listened to this whole lengthy podcast,
stay positive.
Yeah,
it's all about the attitude.
Exactly.
Stay positive, Seminar.
PMA. But yeah, peace out, guys.